What up, good people? What's happening, man? This young lady on the screen that you're looking at right now is Miss Doechii. She's from Tampa, Florida. She's signed to TDE, Top Dog Entertainment, and she is my new favorite artist in 2025. Yes, I have now obtained enough information to officially say that Doechii, this magnificent specimen of an artist, is my favorite artist in 2025. And I don't know a whole lot about her. I just know I've seen her maybe 4 times. But I just watched a documentary on her, a little short documentary. I'll go to that here in 1 second. I'll go to that documentary here in 1 second. I'll include it in the description box. Maybe I will. I don't know if I will, but I'll show you what I'm talking about here in a second. But me and her are very similar in as far as artistry goes. Her struggle is very similar to mine. Mine is, I think, way worse than hers. You know who she is. You guys don't know who I am. But the more I learn about her, the more I'm like, man, we're on similar paths. Not obviously she's a young girl. I'm a older guy, but very similar paths. As far as our success goes, or lack of success, the struggle. As far as the struggle goes, very similar. Now, one thing that stood out to me is that I just found out that her album, I think it's called Alligator Bites. I'm currently writing my 5th novel on YouTube, and it's called, well, I have a scene in the book. I don't know where it's going right now, but I have a scene in the book where I speak about an alligator. And I was just thinking the other day, I think I'm going to do more with the alligator. So anyways, let me play a little bit of her and then I'll go back to what I got going on.
I'm so happy to be back on camera and I'm doing a story time for you guys. I know y'all love.
By the way, I just picked a random video. This video, this is from her YouTube page, and this video is story time, first time getting high. So I just picked one random
story times, and I love doing story times. And if you're confused on why I just called you a Doechii, if you're not following me on Instagram or Snapchat, then you're missing out, because that's really where all the action happens. But your names have been converted from dolls to Doechiis. Dolls was long and gone and dead. We are on a new thing right now. We on a new wave. I'm growing. I'm about to be 18, so ain't no more dolls. We are now Doechiis. And if you guys want to know the symbolism behind Doechii, then you can either go on my Instagram or my Snapchat. Fine, I'll explain it. Okay, so basically, I feel like every video that I post, the content that I push out, are seeds that I'm planting in people's lives. I like to view the world as a field, symbolically. And with those seeds that I plant, the videos, the content, the things that I tell you guys, the things that I input in you guys, the things that I represent, my passions, are all seeds planted in each one of your lives. And all of you are individual seeds that will eventually grow into a tree. And I called it a Doechii. And I feel like we should one day just plant Doechiis in the whole wide world and make the world a field of Doechiis. So that's the story and the symbolism behind Doechiis. So no more dolls. You guys are now Doechiis. We're all grown up now and we're growing and sprouting together. So without further ado, let's get straight to the story. Okay, so my first time smoking weed, this was 11th grade. Yeah, this is 11th grade, and I met this girl.
So last year?
Her name will remain anonymous. We became really close throughout the school year, and I knew that she smoked. I never really cared for smoking weed. It was nothing that I was really chasing. I didn't really care. I just, And like, still to this day, like, I've smoked before a few times in my life, but I don't really smoke like that. Like, I don't know. It's cool. It's fun. I'm not an avid smoker. It's not something that I have to do. It's not something that I feel the need to do all the time. It's just smoking weed. Okay. Found out that she was smoking, and so I hit her up, and I was like, oh, we should study together after school. We had the same class, and we had an exam coming up. Now, mind you, I didn't go over there to smoke. I just really genuinely just wanted to do my exam review packet and just kind of chill and talk or whatever. We became like really close. So I go to her house, and she's just like, well, no. Did she bring it up or did I bring it up? I want to say I brought it up. I don't know how we got to it, but we started doing our exam review packets and we started smoking or whatever. So I didn't tell her that this is my first time getting high. Now, backup story. Back up to 10th grade, summer of 10th grade, I smoked twice, but I didn't get high the first time. I didn't feel anything. Then the second time, I didn't feel anything again. Like, I don't know why. I didn't feel anything. I was just like, okay. Like, the second time I felt a little lightheaded, but it was like nothing. Like, I didn't feel anything. So this time I'm just like, I guess it's gonna be the same, but whatever. So we smoke a blunt together. And like, I'm fine. Like, I don't feel anything. Everything's all good. Like, I don't feel anything at all. So I'm doing my exam review packet, and I'm looking at my packet, and like, I noticed like my shadow was green. And I looked at the wall, and my shadow was green. Like, to this day, I don't understand why, but my shadow was green. My shadow was green. My shadow was green.
The water was green? What do you mean? The shower was green.
So I go on about my life, and like, I realize that I'm high at this point. So like, everything, when you're high, like, your senses are very sensitive, and you get paranoid really easily. So it's really important that you just kind of chill out. You know what I'm saying? But it was my first time getting high. I didn't know what time my mom was coming. I also didn't know how to talk to her. Like, I didn't know how to handle being high. So it was starting to scare me that I was high. So I started tripping. Like, I was tripping. Her mom was home. I was tripping. She was literally just like, you need to sit down. You need to chill. I couldn't stop talking. Actually, I think I have a clip from the first time that I got high. I recorded myself, and it's on Vine. My mom, she texted me. God damn it, I'm gonna get caught. Taylor was getting so aggravated. Like, literally, this is Taylor's face, like, the whole time I was talking.
Say, I am not, I swear, I am not high.
Okay.
All right, so if you guys want to see the rest of this, go to Doechii's page. This is titled "Story Time." First time getting high. I gotta get to my writing session. I just wanted to I guess you can say I'm gonna piggyback off of her and see how the video does, because I think we're on a similar path. She's just like moving at light speed pace compared to me moving like a turtle. So anyways, I'll be back in a second. Y'all hold tight. Okay, I'm back. Anyways, that was Doechii, man, and I'll see how that video does. I want to see if I think we're on similar paths, very similar paths. I'm old enough to be her. I think she's around the same age as my youngest child, maybe. I don't know. No, she's older than my youngest child. She's in between my youngest child and my next to my daughter and my youngest son. She's in between there. Anyways, I love her music. If you don't know who she is, the girl is very artistic. She's a combination of Nicki Minaj, Lauryn Hill, a little bit of Missy Elliott is in there, Megan Thee Stallion. I'm gonna say it, MC Light. She's a little salt and pepper. She's hip hop. She's Big Daddy Kane. She's Jay-Z, Nas. I just hope the best for her going forward, man. She's dope. She's really dope. Anyways, chapter 2. Let me turn this down a little bit. While Jacob and his father were out fishing and being careful of mother alligators, Edna Wallace and her daughter Sonia were at home beginning the regimen of cleaning and cooking for Suge's birthday party. "Sonia!" Edna called from the kitchen. "Sonia Marie Wallace. Girl, where did you go?" she said to herself while searching through the cabinets for different spices. Rightfully so, she'd been worrying about her daughter, in particular for the past 2 weeks. It had been that long since a co-worker's daughter ran off with a man nearly twice her age. Growing up in one of the most conservative Baptist homes in Green Pond, a small close-knit community, It was deeply instilled in the woman that a young lady should always conduct herself as just that. And until the day of marriage, and even afterwards, the chores of being a good wife and caring mother should always outweigh any urges to live a worldly life. But long before hearing the news of the co-worker's daughter through a friend at Piggly Wiggly, it had been her everyday duty to pry into any affairs of Sonia. As of late, the heat had been turned up a bit, and the poor child was hating life. "I'm in the bathroom," the girl yelled back. "Dang, every time I start doing something," she followed, speaking soft enough so that her mother wouldn't hear. At the moment, and like so many other times, she was in the mirror, leaning in close, searching with the precision of a heart surgeon for more blackheads and pimples to dig out and scrub away. Cleaning water vapors from the wet glass in the hand that wasn't used to wipe the mirror, she held a steaming face cloth that reeked of rubbing alcohol and pimple cream, a concoction made to rid zits, at least in her mind. Knowing that her mother wouldn't stop at just one outburst, she turned off the water and draped a rag over the faucet before moving to the hall. "What do you want, Ma?" she snapped while moving toward the kitchen. "Oh, I just wanted to know where you were, that's all. I thought you done run off, being so quiet," said Edna as her daughter peered into the small kitchen, red cheeks over a tight frown. Momentarily, she stared at the back of her mother's heavy frame. Peeved, she slowly rolled her eyes while simultaneously turning to move in the opposite direction. At age 14, and with raging hormones fueling a never-ending supply of emotional instabilities, she'd fully entered into the life of adolescence, her second year of teenhood, with a certain kind of meanness. No one was exempt from the girl's sudden wrath of anger, but her pestering brother Jake paid for it more than anyone else. It was only 2 weeks before when she'd slapped the daylights out of him for simply being in her room, or rather, it could have been that simple had he not gotten caught scrolling through her phone. A week before that, she'd kicked him in the back after he called her pizza face zombie. Then there was a time she choked him until the boy nearly went unconscious. The assault came after the girl had caught her little brother listening in on one of her conversations with Keyshawn Edwards, a boy she spoke too highly of, in Jacob's opinion, and too frequently about, and a person her parents knew nothing of. Needless to say, anytime Jake was out of her hair was wonderful for her. The friction between the two siblings wasn't always there, however. There was a time when she shared an unbreakable bond. These days, they rarely showed each other any type of affection. Both Edna and Henry were sure that their daughter's entrance into womanhood was the root cause of her not-so-loving attitude and why she was treating her brother so cruel. Okay, that must be the Doechii effect, because I had never read that good since I started this whole thing. The Doechii effect. Okay, so we're gonna make that green now, and we're gonna move on down. Now that Sonia was older, she paid close attention to her nails, hair, skin, and all sorts of prissy things, according to Jacob. But according to Keyshawn, it was all of those things and more that made her so interesting. In reality, had it not been for a few unwanted blemishes, her face would have been flawless, But like many teenage girls experiencing puberty, she couldn't see past those few imperfections, and because of this, a false portrayal of high self-esteem was how she got through the depressing times and all else that came with being a young lady. Having high cheekbones and eyes that were somewhat slanted, she had the face of a Nubian princess, and with long, stringy legs that always seemed to rise higher than intended with every step, somehow the girl still managed to pull off a decent runway strut when walking. It had all began after turning 13. That's when she started acting like a girl, is what Jacob had said. Let me see, that sentence might not work. It had all began after turning 13. That's when she started acting like a girl, is what Jacob had said. Were Jacob's thoughts. It's kind of out of place because Jacob is younger than her. Unless he may be a little observant. On occasion, however, the two would still wrestle and sometimes play hand games like Miss Mary Mack and Shane. Unfortunately, those games came too far in between, or ended abruptly. After so many complaints that Jacob was hitting her hands too rough during shame, the more parts, or that it was too childish to be playing around with little kids. Alright. Unfortunately, those games came too far in between, or ended abruptly after so many complaints that Jacob was hitting her hands too roughly. We're hitting her hands too roughly. Let me see. This is a part where I may need an editor. Take a sip here. Excuse me. Unfortunately, those games came too far in between, or ended abruptly after so many complaints that Jacob was hitting her hands too rough. During shame, the more parts, or that it was too childish to be playing around with little kids. Their last wrestling match had also ended up suddenly after Sonia realized that it would be an opportune moment to get back at Jacob for listening in on her phone conversations. A chokehold that Jacob himself had shown her, the Charleston choke, ended up being the very cause of her frantically tapping out. Ended up being the cause of him frantically tapping out seconds before passing out. Luckily, the boy was quickly resuscitated by a cold glass of fruit punch that had been poured on his face by his nervous sister. It was the last result after several panic slaps by the terrified teen. Awakening to the taste of sweet substance and seeing the dark red liquid, Jacob immediately began to wonder why his sister was teary-eyed and why he'd been covered in tasty blood. Maybe it's a dream, a nightmare, or maybe I'm dead. She must have killed me on accident. Now I'm a ghost about to leave my body out forever. It had all taken place an hour before the parents arrived home from work, and thankfully so. Both Mr. and Mrs. Wallace tended to be equally cranky after a long day's work. The last thing they wanted to see as they entered their home was their teen was their 10-year-old son sprawled out on the floor, covered in blood, with their teenage daughter nervously looking over him with tears coming down her face. Teenage daughter nervously looking over him. Looking over him while crying. Let's see. Wallace tended to be, both Mr. and Mrs. Wallace tended to be equally cranky. After a long day's work, the last thing they wanted to see as they entered their home was their 10-year-old son sprawled out on the floor, covered in blood, with their teenage daughter nervously looking over him while crying. After bringing Jacob back to his senses, the two rushed to get not only him and the carpet clean, but the entire house, removing most of the red stain by scrubbing the floor like maniacs. They finished off the crime scene by rearranging all the furniture in the living room, placing the couch over the wet spot. When the exhausted parents came through the door, they were surprised but proud to see that not only did their well-disciplined children take the initiative to clean and rearrange the living room, but the kitchen and bathrooms were also spotless. Despite a little soreness in Jacob's neck and Sonia worrying about her mother looking underneath the couch, it turned out to be a good night for the two after all. Oh man, that was a short chapter. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4? Okay. Alright. Choke out. Choke out. So that's 4 pages. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, okay. Alright. A good friend of Sonia and sister to Jacob's good friend Jason. His name's not Jason, goodness gracious. His name is Frederick Jr. I gotta find Alright, let's place Jason. Let's go with Freddie Jr. Alright, replace all. Replace 0. All done. For some reason it's not replacing it. I see why. Let's see. Search all. Find all words. Define white text. No. I don't know why it's not working. Find Jason. Alright, define what text for find all word form search can only contain alphabetical letters. Oh, that's why. Alright, gotta get rid of that little dot there. Still didn't work. Okay. I don't know. We're gonna have to adjust fire, y'all. We're gonna have to adjust fire, yeah. A good friend of Sonia and sister to Jacob's good friend Freddie Jr. was Lily Nowakowski. She was a proud young lady who, like Sonia, often showed a tough exterior, but on more than one occasion, with her guard down, shown a softer side, or at least from Jacob's perspective. Maybe it was excessive boasting about her hair that made her seem just as conceited as Sonia. She had long curly locks that Jacob thought to be fairy tale like, but would never admit his fascination. In his mind, if the girl ever found herself being held hostage in a tower by a wicked witch, she'd only have to grow her hair long enough to one day let it down to allow some handsome prince to climb up. Their immodesty was the glue that held the girls' in friendship, and since that now hilarious day when a petty argument broke out in the second block between the two over Jamel Turner, a boy that spoke too highly, that spoke to both of them in that way young men do when he wanted more than just conversation, they somehow inadvertently became friends and remained good friends ever since. When Lily and Frederick moved from New Jersey 2 years prior to live with their grandfather, Suge. Okay. Jacob and Frederick seemed to have become best buds overnight. The girls, however, never talked much at all whenever Suge forced his grandchildren over to the Wallaces to visit. Lily and Frederick were biracial, half Polish and half African American, but being the most black people in the South, most black people in the South didn't see any difference between the variations of European ethnicities. The two were considered by their black schoolmates as light-skinned or half white, which wasn't always a good thing, the part about being half white. Both Sonia and Lily were around the same age, Lily being older by 2 months. Okay. Both Sonia and Lily were around the same age. With Lily being older by 2 months. With that, she often tried to use the slight difference in age as a validation of seniority, but Sonia never fell for it. Okay, so I'm gonna spend 30 minutes Alrighty. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and end it right here. To all my new Doechii fans, I love Doechii, so you guys may love me. With all that being said, catch up with all of my other videos. This is Anthony L. Kelly, and check out my books. This is one of them right here, Jaja. I wear this t-shirt often. This is my night shirt sometimes, so you might see it 2 days in a row, 3 days in a row. But I assure you, I take it off. And anyways, hit that like, subscribe, share, comment. Till next time, this is Anthony L. Kelly. I'm out, y'all.